stuff. See, I said stuff, Brother Bill. I said stuff, Brother Bill. We walked into this stuff unknowingly, and began to be involved in the same debate that they set up. And so they began to argue on the kind of cultural chauvinism that there were some cultures that were deviant, and that these cultures were deviant. Therefore, the purpose of education is to try to replace these deficient cultural orientations. And so African folk became the evidence of this deviant culture. And what they saw through their need for seeing exotica was that the style, the rhythms, the methodologies of African people were deviancies, and they had to be corrected. And so education became a process of trying to educate or to correct African people. The educational agenda became, how do you make us something different? Because what we had naturally was deviant. The second part of this kind of cultural chauvinism was to argue that the issue of education, issue of culture, wasn't important at all, and that in fact we had no culture, that African people had no culture, and so what we had to do was to somehow give us some culture. And so culture became the stuff that you acquired once you got sophisticated, and culture was symbolized by the fact that when you drank tea, you put your pinky up in the air, and that was culture. So they made us believe that was a culture, and we tried it for a while, we felt foolish, and so we decided that culture wasn't important. You see the trick here? That when they made culture that kind of behavioral manifestation, and we went and tried it, it didn't feel right. And so we said, this ain't about nothing. And so we gave that up. We said culture ain't important. And so we walked into this analysis that allowed us to fail to see that all the real failure of our children in the educational experience was because it wasn't driven by the authenticity and the purity of our culture. The culture is not, and this is the final thing that the mainstream educators did. They decided, well, if culture is important, then we got to sort of put it in the schools and be fair and be liberal about it. And so they started a kind of a gumbo soup educational experience where they would put culture in like they're sprinkling it in the gumbo. And so they would say that culture was like, you had to add some stuff to what we were doing because we being them. What we're doing is the main thing, and that's the main menu. And if you put some red beans in it, then it would be black. If you put some tomatoes in it, then it would be black. And so they started sprinkling in, and the whole educational process became one of, you could put up some black heroes and heroines on the wall. Then you had relevant culture in the classroom. Culture is not, and this is important, culture is not simply the compilation of a list of heroes and holidays of a people. Our heroes and heroines and our holy days are important, but they don't comprise the whole thing of culture. Culture has to do with an understanding of the energy of a people. And if we don't understand that, we won't, which I'll talk about in a moment, we won't understand how culture shapes our identity. And it's the identity that is the issue that has to come about. But folks ran around for a long time trying to talk about culture as that add-on stuff, that putting in sprinkling stuff, trying to figure out the holidays, trying to figure out how they can bring rap music into the classroom to teach English because that's part of the culture of black folk. I understand that that's not a bad strategy to use that kind of relevant medium for educating black kids, but for to argue that that's our culture is to in fact insult us. So we have to begin to look at this question, and from my position and my vantage point, I think we have to stop the process and define for them what we mean by culture. Because we don't define what we mean by culture, then we cannot have a criteria for assessing whether or not they're on target, or whether, for that matter, we are on target. Because we run around going to the black bookstore and getting stuff and bringing it in and putting the posters up and thinking we're doing something for our kids, and therefore they say, well, shoot. Maybe I should mark them down, Brother Bill, and kill them at the end. See, if I mark them down and I don't get to 7 of them, then I'm all right. If I go beyond 7, so someone keeps score. What we do is begin to think that we're doing the same thing when they look at us and see that the black educator is doing the same thing that they're doing. They don't see that the black educator is the victim of their racism and is acting out as a clone, their same stuff, they say this is justification for what they're doing. They say, hey, black folks are doing this stuff, so it must be right. And I realize that the poor black person is doing the best he can as a victim of the same racism that they are the perpetrators of. So we have to begin to analyze these things very carefully and have criteria that allow us to assess and to judge whether or not we're on the right track. I want to suggest to you that culture is to humans as water is to fish. And we never see fish running around saying, hey, I'm in water. Hey, I'm in water. This water's cold. This water's hot. The fish don't do that kind of stuff. And humans don't run around really saying, hey, I'm in culture. But the analysis is clear. If you take a saltwater fish and put the saltwater fish in fresh water, the saltwater fish has a problem. All kinds of things happen. The saltwater fish starts moving at a different rhythm. Walking stiff or swimming stiff. The saltwater fish coloration starts to change. The saltwater fish interest in who it should mate with starts to change. The saltwater fish sees the schooling of its lifestyle. Because, fish swim in schools. The saltwater fish sees the swimming in the school as not important and breaks off and tries to be an individual. And then the saltwater fish starts having problems and goes to the freshwater fish and asks the freshwater fish, can they get a freshwater psychologist to help the saltwater fish understand what it is to be a saltwater fish. And if there is no intervention, the saltwater fish that is in fresh water ultimately dies. And so we have to either help the water be more compatible to the saltwater fish if we want the saltwater fish to live in that new environment. I don't need to make the analysis about what happens when Africans find themselves living in non-African water. It is clear. It is clear. And so what we have to begin to do is to talk about the nature of the water. Because you can't change the nature of the saltwater fish. You can't change the nature of the African. You have to make the water satisfy the conditions of the African. You can't do the other way. And what we've been doing is trying to make the African different so that we would survive in a different environment, and that has failed us. We have to change the environment. And the environment that is important for us is those institutions that are critical. The family, the educational system, the workplace, the church place. All those are structural institutions that are designed to be the ingredients of the water that we find ourselves swimming in. Culture is to humans as water is to fish. We have to begin to look at that. Culture more technically, because that was sort of a nice little, that's the kindergarten level, right? That's the thing that we can take home and remember because it's cute. But we have to be real serious because this is a serious proposition. Culture, more technically, is the vast structure of behaviors, ideas, attitudes, values, habits, beliefs, customs, language, rituals, ceremonies, practices peculiar to a particular group of people, and which gives them a general design for living and patterns for interpreting reality. It is in the patterns of interpreting reality that culture becomes important. It is in the educational process that we tell the next generation, here's how you should see the world. Here are the patterns that are perceptible and ponderable. And if that is not driven by an Afrocentric philosophy, then the perceptible and ponderable universe will not be consistent with the fish. You understand, with the fish. So we have to begin to look at those general designs for living and patterns for interpreting reality. Culture teaches the people to recognize phenomena. That's why black folks recognize some things that go to other people. We recognize it, wonder why they can't see it. That's why black folk white folk get concerned because we will react to certain statements. And they will say, we're just speaking the English language. Why are you getting all out of pocket? They don't use that word, but They would say, why do you get so concerned? I mean, we say out of pocket because we speak symbolically and analogically. That's part of our culture. But they would say, why do you get upset when, you discussing issues of educating black kids? And they would say, well, what do you people want? Brother Bill, we say, what kind of shit is this, you people? We start doing all this stuff, and they wonder where it comes from. And that is a cultural thing, because culture gives you a general design for living and patterns for interpreting reality. And so the you that they state as a way of asking, what is this group that's in front of me interested in, doesn't become targeting for communicating to us, but becomes that badge of their excluding themselves from the reality that is combined. And so if they can exclude themselves, then we know that our vested interest is not protected. And so we say, what do you mean by this you stuff? You in this stuff too. And so we try to bring them back in it and struggle that way, and then it becomes, well, you all need what? A salt water psychologist to help you work through interpersonal relationships. And so they get us off track. We figure we just don't know how to negotiate, we don't know how to communicate, we don't know how to talk with folk, and we got to figure out strategies for communication, and we therefore get out of our own cultural fabric and forget and don't understand that once you're out of your own cultural fabric, you can never win anything. You can never achieve anything. And so we begin to understand these things. That culture gives meaning to reality. Culture allows us to see the logical relationships between things. It's all defined by culture. Culture, in fact, allows us to understand how, in fact, the educational achievement and motivation issues are tied to the engine that drives our children. It's not that these kids are empty vessels that some people want to talk about, empty vessels that you got to pour information in and then test them based upon whether they comprehend information. But our culture says that you have to bring out of the child its natural genius. There's a different cultural orientation. So in the classroom, I think you're an empty vessel. I got to put something in you, or I think that your family has contaminated you, so I got to take out of you the stuff that your family put in you and then put something back into you called education. Whereas our culture says no, that the child comes from God with a natural gift and talent, and it's my responsibility to identify that and bring it out of the child, to develop it, to flourish it. And so when we address the question of education, it becomes important to see that education, as well as the issues of curriculum and teaching, etc., that are part of education, are all cultural phenomena. There is no education that is acultural. When we send our children to school, we're sending them to an inculturation experience. If we don't understand that they're being enculturated and not being educated, then we fail our children. Culture becomes the critical thing. Culture is in fact the stuff that allows us to drive, to inspire education. It is not the add-on stuff. It's not heroes and holidays. It's not just the people's music and people's dance. So we try that. We figure, well, we get some black music or some African music, or we get something, then we get culture. Or we find times and we decide that these are the holy days that are important to say that folks, the culture should be recognized and respected. So right now, it's February. All over the country, everybody's saying black folk are exotic again. So you got black folk being important. I mean, Chinese people running around talking about black folk being interesting because it's February, and you can see that this country does that for all ethnic groups. I mean, there's a point where Chinese New Year, and the Chinese people get important. They're important. They run around trying to figure out what's that dragon stuff about, and why they running through the street with them candles and blowing up them firecrackers, and that becomes the new exotica for their moment in time. You look at May, and everybody starts talking about Cinco de Mayo, people throwing hats on the floor and running around, dancing around hats, talking about they into a Mexican thing or a Hispanic thing. Not realizing those ain't the stuff that makes folk have culture. That's not. Those are just the manifestations and some of the more simplistic rituals of a people's culture. And we have to see education as far more than the seasoning process. And now I'm going to use that term kind of advisedly, because at one time certain folk felt that they had to season the African in order to make him or her compatible with a system of slavery. Right. Today, people believe they have to season the educational experiences with the foolishness, or at least the unimportant aspects of our culture in order to make our culture more compatible with their interests as educators.